Hello, folks. Well, today we are taking a brief look at 2peter chapter 1, verses 10 through 21. Through chapter 1 and verse 12, Peter is thinking about the blessings that we and his readers possess. He says a future awaits us. And this salvation, to which he referred in verse 5, this salvation that is ready to be revealed at the last day, well, he wants to say more about it in verses 10 through 12. He says, concerning this salvation, the angels were on tiptoe to see what it was all about. It's a salvation that was prophesied, but those who prophesied about it didn't fully see it, didn't fully understand it. He says they were serving you and not themselves. And he writes, you are the recipients of this message that the prophets did not fully see and that the angels long to see. And I'm wondering, what might this position of privilege mean to suffering Christians? What might it mean for us who are living in the last times when God has fully revealed his plan? Such an encouraging word. Then in verses 13 through 21, Peter gives several exhortations that are based on the blessings of chapter 1, verses 3 through 12. He discusses the glories of salvation. Now he comes to the practical exhortations based upon those blessings. So we have verse 13, prepare your minds for action. Get ready for some serious mental activity. And then again in verse 13, set your hope on the grace that is coming to you. This grace, it won't be fully realized until the second coming of Christ. And then verse 14, be children of obedience. We are to be people who are characterized by a spirit of obedience and whose habitual practice is obedience. Verse 14, we are not to return to our previous lifestyle in which passion predominated. Verses 15 and 16, we are to be holy as our God is holy. That is, we are to lead lives that are different, lives that are separated from sin and for God's service. Verse 17, we are to live in such a way that shows our deep respect and reverence toward God. And there is another reminder that we are foreigners living in exile from our true homeland in those verses. Then, in the following verses, Peter adds another reason we should live our lives in the proper fear of God. We know of the high cost of our redemption. That's verse 18. What was the cost? It was the precious blood of Jesus. And don't we realize the value God has placed upon us by knowing the price he was willing to pay for our salvation? Understanding this should lead to holy conduct on our part. Peter tells us that he ransomed us from a futile life. I like that. A purposeless life. This too should motivate us to live lives separated from sin. So, can we live for God? The answer is verse 21. The fact that God raised Jesus from the dead shows that he is the true and living God. He then is someone in whom we can have the utmost confidence. What then is the basis of our faith and hope? It's the resurrection of Jesus from the dead and his subsequent glorification. So, why can't we live the Christian life? Why can't we endure suffering for Jesus? Why can't we live a life separated from sin and for God's service? Well, in light of 1 Peter 1, verses 10 through 21, I can't think of a single reason. Can you? Let's carry on then. We've got work to do.